We'll call the Osceola Township Water Board meeting to order. Roll call, please, for attendance.
Gardner,
Here.
Mr. Osceola,
Here.
myself, and
Is Mr. Wareham participating via Zoom or by phone?
No.
3 present, 2 absent. We have a quorum. The first item on our agenda is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I will make that motion.
Ms. Gardner, is there support?
I'll support.
Ms. Wool, are there any additions, deletions, corrections to the agenda from anyone's perspective?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as presented, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. First item on our agenda is approval of the minutes, from our October 14th, 2020 meeting. In your packet for review, assuming everyone has had a chance to look at it, do I have a motion to approve the minutes for our October 14th meeting, 2020 meeting as presented?
All motion.
Ms. Wool, is there support for the motion?
I'll support.
Ms. Gardner, any questions, comments, concerns, issues with the minutes from anyone's perspective? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the minutes as presented, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda are the financial reports for the water system. They include a balance sheet, profit and loss, budget versus actual, check detail, and a deposit detail. Trust everyone has had a few moments at least to look over these documents. Again, profit and loss, budget versus actual, balance sheet, check detail, deposit detail. Do I have a motion to accept the financial reports as presented?
I will make that motion.
Ms. Gardner, do I have support for the motion to accept the financial reports as presented?
Support.
Any questions, concerns, comments on the financial reports? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to accept the financial reports, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 6, payment of bills. There are packets that are available for review. Bills paid on behalf of the Osceola Township water system from, I believe, the 14th of October through the end of the month.
No, it's the whole.
Or are there some in there that may predate the 14th, the time of our last meeting?
First.
Good?
Yeah, okay.
Do I have a motion to accept the financial reports and recommend them up to the board for approval?
Payment of
Payment of
bills.
bills.
Excuse me, payment of bills. I'm
I
sorry.
will, I'll motion.
My apologies. I was on 5 again. I put my glasses on, it'll be easier for me to track. Payment of the bills. I stand corrected. A motion to accept payment of the bills, recommend approval to the board. Motion?
I
Ms.
motion.
Wool, support.
I will support.
Gardner, any questions relative to the motion or to the bills before you? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to recommend their payment to the board, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public comment. Anyone present or participating via Zoom, if you would like to address the Osceola Township Water Board at this time, you'll be given up to 3 minutes. Please identify yourself and you may begin.
No comment.
No comment, he said.
Good. Thank you very much. We'll provide an opportunity before we adjourn the meeting, should anyone wish to comment at that time. Please note the time that public comment was offered. Thank you very much. Reports. Item 8, Water Operators Report. Mr. Matt Folk, the floor is yours.
Meter reads are done on Sunday in Tamarack. Only had two meters that I have problems reading. Mason extra pumps. I talked to Emmett today. Extra pumps will be brought to the warehouse before the end of the week here. Put in our building. They're working on the electrical panel down there on Handyman Road, getting ready for setting up the panels for power for the pumps. The power company placed poles in Mason on the highway and down below where the pump system is. And I just talked to Emmett. He said the Mason pump test will be delayed for a few weeks. Many missed dig orders and work orders. It's everybody's trying to get done with stuff. Truck paint job, I can't tell you that. So you got the pump. Well, I put it in your box.
Oh, I didn't
The
see
monthly
it.
pumpage.
I can add it later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there any questions of Bob? Bob, anything in addition? Thank you very much. Secretary's report distributed this evening for your review. Just everyone has had a chance to look at the Water Secretary's report. Could I have a motion to accept the two reports?
A motion.
Ms. Sewell, is there support for the motion to accept the reports?
I'll support.
Additional comment? All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Reports are accepted. Unfinished business. I have just one item to bring to your attention. As Bob has explained at several meetings in the past, we have some issues around waterline exposure on the railroad grade between Dollar Bay and Mason. I have visited the site with Bob on more than one occasion and did meet with Pat Zimnick about the possibility of getting an offer to cover some of the exposed or diminished railroad grade area so as to reduce the likelihood of exposure of a water main. We have not received anything yet from him. I'll follow up with him, if not this week, early next week, if nothing arrives. Hopefully it's something that could be done before snow sets in, winter sets in, and we end up with snow. But that's an information update on it. That's all I have under unfinished business. We else have anything? If not, item 10, new business. Anything to bring to the attention of the Water Board? Hearing none. Prior to asking for a motion to adjourn, I'll open up the meeting again for public comment. Is there anyone present via Zoom or in person that would like to ask questions or bring something to the Water Board's attention? Hearing none, please note the time that we offered public comment again at the end of the meeting. A motion to adjourn is in order.
I will make that motion.
Ms. Gardner, is there support?
I'll support.
Ms. Hool, all in favor of the motion to adjourn, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. We stand adjourned. We'll convene the Township Board meeting in approximately 5 minutes, at about 6:15.
Instead of moving a cabinet, I'll take that.
We'll call the Osceola Township
This
Board
one?
meeting
That one?
order.
Yeah, tighten it up, that's all.
Roll call attendance, please.
Ms. Gardner? Yes. Mr. Hopewell?
Yes,
Don and Aaron are not present. Don, are you on Zoom?
No.
we do have a quorum. Meeting will proceed. The next item on our agenda, prior to its approval, is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you're present, face the flag, and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Hey,
The next item on our agenda is approval of the agenda.
this is a medium.
I know.
Those participating via Zoom, we are trying various gloves on to check sizes. So if you are curious about the comment. Approval of the agenda is the next item on our agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I will make that motion.
Is there support?
No support.
Any additions, suggested deletions, amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as presented, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next item, approval of the minutes for our last meeting held on October 14th, 2020. Material is in your packet. Trust everyone has had an opportunity to take a look at it. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes, approve the minutes, for our October 14th, 2020 meeting?
Motion.
In school, is there support?
I'll support.
A motion and support. Are there any suggested amendments, deletions, corrections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the minutes, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Acceptance of our financial reports. In your packets, you have financial reports for the township, road fund, Mason wastewater fund, Tamarack City water, and Osceola Township water. Questions, comments relative to the reports? While you're taking a second look, I will highlight one thing for you on the profit and loss for the Tamarack City Water Fund. It has been updated relative to principal and interest, item 831 and 832. And there had been a apparent overpayment relative to the principal, and it was simply a matter of placing the distribution of revenue in the proper column, which was accomplished this month to indicate where we actually stand. We have another interest payment, I believe, for the system in December, if I recall correctly. Just wanted to point that out for you. Do we have any questions, comments, concerns about any of the reports? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the financial reports?
I'll make the motion.
Ms. Gardner, is there a motion, a second to the motion to accept the reports?
I'll second.
A second. Further discussion? All in favor of accepting the financial reports, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 7, approval of payments of bills. General fund, road fund, Mason fund, Tamarack City water, Osceola Township water. Trust everyone has had a chance to review those. Do I have a motion to approve payment of the bills, the general fund, road fund, Mason fund, Tamarack City water, and Osceola Township water?
Motion.
Ms. Houle, is there support for the motion to approve payment of the bills?
I will support.
Thank you very much. Motion and support for payment of bills. Are there any questions, comments, concerns specific to the motion or the items in the motion? Hearing none, roll call vote on the approval of the payment of the bills, from the general fund, road fund, Mason fund, Tamarack City Water, and Osceola Township Water.
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Holbrook?
Yes,
Myself. Yes.
motion carries 3-0. Item 8, public comment. Anyone present or participating via Zoom, floor will be yours for up to 3 minutes during our first of 2 public comment sections. If you would like to address the board, please indicate so and identify yourself prior to beginning. Hearing none at this time, we will provide an opportunity at the end of the meeting for those interested in providing public comment. Should something come up that draws your attention or you would like to add to our meeting at that time. Please note the time of comment is first called for. Reports, the next item on the agenda. First report, assessor's report. There is just a quick note. The assessor was not available this week and will not be available until Monday and will be here next Wednesday. It's important for us to let the assessor know that our office is closed next Wednesday. It's Veterans Day. Looking for an alternate date for her to hold regular office hours other than the 11th. We'll need to get in touch with her. There is no additional information currently available from the assessor, and I apparently missed something.
Just trying to distance.
Jim, thank you for participating this evening. Moving right along, maintenance report, there's a handout in your packet. Dollar Bay Fire Department. Ron, the floor is yours.
We got one call out to White Mills. Raining and blowing and wind. There was a tree on a power line. And by the time we got there, it was out. And about 4 minutes after, the power company behind us. And according to them, they were already patrolling that area. So we came back home. That was it. All done for the week, month. We're good.
Thank you. Any questions of Ron?
Well, we had Halloween too. Kids rode in a boat. As far as we could tell, we probably had about 300 kids come by.
Wow.
They were coming through big time, let me tell you. Holy cow. The van would pull up and they pile out.
They were happy
Yeah.
to be out.
A safe, successful evening.
You know, we did our part. We had our mask and our gloves, the whole bit.
Delighted.
The best we could do.
I'm sure they enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah.
Anything else?
No, it should be it.
Thank you. Questions of Ron? Next, Dollar Bay First Responders, handout packet. Tamarack City Fire Department, a handout. Tamarack City Water Board, a handout. Torch Lake Sewage Authority, that material was distributed for your review prior to the meeting. Any questions about any of the written reports? Next item under reports is the supervisor's report. I will move expeditiously, but please interrupt if there are questions or comments. Our insurance company has a site visit that will be taking place in early December with Lori Burton. I have spoken with both Mr. Copeland and Mr. Klein relative to their availability. We have 3 tentative dates 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of December, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, for the proposed site visit. And we're shooting for mid to late afternoon to accommodate our schedules locally. Hopefully that will be acceptable to Ms. Burton. I will be talking with her tomorrow or Friday. The Houghton County Road Commission has prepared E Street in Tamarack City for paving. The paving has not occurred yet, but the road has been prepared. I'm hopeful that they will be able to get it done between now and the snow falling, but it is certainly dependent on the availability of blacktop and the weather. But it is far better, having driven down it just the other day, than it was prior to the prep work being done. There is like a speed bump up at the top, which I believe is intentional to slow people down on the newly prepared surface, but it is much improved. Mr. Holmes and I from UP Engineering and Architect had a conference call with Michelle Wilds on the EMS vehicle grant from Rural Development. The conference call was successful. The material has been printed. There's certainly interest in going forward with it. This is what we talked about with Mr. Matfolk and amongst ourselves. At that time, we were talking about a 45-55 split, with 45% of the resources for the new vehicle coming from the township. Unfortunately, I was told during the conference call that because of the mean or average income across the township, we don't qualify for quite as advantageous a grant township funding process. And instead of 45-55, it would be 65-35. For us to proceed with this, which we are still planning to do, at least take a hard, serious look at, to require a fairly comprehensive analysis of where our resources would come from to cover our 65% relative to this grant application. But Chris Holmes and I will talk again next week. It was extremely helpful in setting this up. It was a very beneficial meeting. It's just that I much prefer the original figures than the ones that were shared by Michelle, but she said your mean income is the issue in the township, and made sense. The snowmobile trailers, a conference call on the 26th. I talked with people about this, and then talked with Ron from the DNR UP Trails on the 26th. And they are working on preparing the trail, or repairing the trail, excuse me, Hancock to Lake Linden, but it is in the early stage of development. I was asked to follow up on this by Bob, Mr. Matfolk, with some concern about possible financial costs and or the relocation of some of our water lines down in Tamarack City. I was assured that it shouldn't impact on our infrastructure, given the options that they're looking at to reconnect the trail, but we'll be kept in the loop, and information has been requested by me as to where they are, and that should be emailed up sometime this month, ideally before hunting season. He said he'd get it to us.
They
Have you
showed
got
me the
any-
maps when they were doing that.
Pardon?
They showed me the maps
Okay.
when they were doing that. And what they're proposing is running that snowmobile trail the full length of Amygdaloid on the lake side of Amygdaloid. And I said that, I don't see how that's feasible. People park there all the time because there isn't any parking on the high side. So, and I said, what about the hydrants that are right next to the trail? I said, if you figure you're gonna move them, we're not gonna pay for it. They'd have to move them across the street and repave and everything else. And their excuse was that lower railroad grade it hasn't been used for long. And I don't understand that. They say it hasn't been used for so long as a railroad grade. it's reverts back to the property owner. Well, that doesn't make sense either. I never heard of, you know, I never heard of such a thing. And all they'd have to do is put a pipe in on that chunk where it comes up from Junction Road, where it turns into Magley. All they need to do is put a big pipe in there and fill it up, and they could stay down on the lower part. That was one of the biggest reasons that Matson on the far end down there was complaining when they put the water line in, they got rid of all that brush. So all that dust used to, the brush used to kind of take care of it, but it doesn't anymore because there isn't any brush there anymore. Well, if they're gonna come up on a shoulder, that's gonna make it worse. You know, so I beg to differ on that.
Well, going from
And I-
memory, he said they're in an early stage of development. Nothing has been certainly submitted or finalized. The material is supposed to come here, so,
They're supposedly supposed to take bids on that in December.
well, I wasn't led to believe that that was going to happen based on the conversation, but I'm not going to contradict what you said. I'll follow up with him. But I haven't gotten the material yet, so it warrants a phone call.
And I told, what's her name, that I said, you should get all these people on that stretch to sign a petition, you know, and try to get that line down below instead of up right alongside of a mega line. There's not a whole lot of room there.
Well, let me see what I can get from him. The conversation lasted about 20-25 minutes, and he assured me he'd send me what they had, so. And I wasn't left with the impression that they were bidding something relative to construction as early as this December. He didn't think anything was going to be transpiring until next year. That's the way he phrased it, so.
I will have a public meeting sometime.
I'll follow up with a phone call, Bob. Thanks for the additional information. You and I should have a conversation before I call him.
And that's not going, it's gonna cross Tamarack Hill, and it's not going through any of those gullies because it's too costly. It's gonna actually drop down, and it's gonna go, well, I believe along that river grade in Hubble.
Okay. So it's up, down kind of thing.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let me follow up with a phone call. I'll talk to you between now and when I do that, but I'd like to do it early next week, so we'll talk. Thank you. There was a conference call with FEMA, and John Paul, Peter from Travis Engineering and I on the 29th. I will address it now under my report. I did put some notes down under their report section. They will not be present this evening, nor able to participate via Zoom. So both of us agreed that it was a successful conference call. FEMA indicated that the resources still available to us are available to us for work next spring. There are some things that we're going to have to follow up on relative to requests for extension, whatever, but that will fall primarily on Travis Engineering. So FEMA projects carrying work forward into the spring. The bids and offers for that will go out after the first of the calendar year, January 1 of 2021. And the remaining projects are going to be lumped into a single bid protocol, if you will, rather than bidding each of them separately, given that these are the smaller projects, such as out at the boat ramp, out at the beach, et cetera. One project to cover all of the remaining FEMA activities will be sufficient. We'll know more detail after the first of the year, but both agreed. John Paul and I spoke that it was successful. We got our questions answered, more his than mine, but the assurance that the money is available and the projects will be bid and taken care of next year was sufficient. So
Money available, meaning that extra
the balance of
25%.
the balance of
okay.
the 120 to 125 that's been available to us, it's still there. But there are some timelines that have to be addressed in
Right.
the process because the money was allocated under different criteria.
Right.
18 months you have to request an extension, et cetera. And we were assured that we were well within our timelines for requesting that. There shouldn't be any issues anywhere.
Mhm.
So that was beneficial as well.
So as long as we can get those projects taken care of next summer.
Next spring, summer, yeah,
Okay.
that's, I think ideal, because then it will be 3 years
Right.
from the flood that caused the problems in the first place. And I don't want to be bumping up against other timelines any more than Travis Engineering does. It was
Right.
just a tough summer for getting people to bid small projects,
Right.
take care of business, but they were understanding, and it's confident it'll be extended.
Okay.
We'll save the Mason Sewer Project stuff with Mr. Koskanimi here to assist us. Julio work, on our behalf, the ice rink boards have been removed. Still working very closely with our insurance company representatives. They've spoken with an adjuster. Everybody's on the same page. Dale Rogers, our maintenance man, and I went down and measured the boards. I have to get dimensions. I've called and left messages for the adjuster. He's returned my call yet. So I'm probably just gonna call the Honeyla agency and leave the information with either Mark or Scott and have them get that information to him. There are 2 other projects that hopefully will get done. One is there's a deck or a dock out at the boat landing that needs to come in, I believe. And that's still in the water, and I've talked with Don about gaining access to the sand pit by making at least some improvements to the road there. And he's gonna try to get that done this fall as well, so weather permitting. The dock is the more important of the 2 at this moment.
Mhm.
The road can be taken care of in the spring, but we gotta get that out this month. And given that the boards are down, I think it's the next thing on the list, so.
I have 2 questions.
Yes.
I don't remember what we had talked about with regard to the ice rink and the possibility of building up, like the snow around the rink and having it open this year. Where did that go? Did we have to contact the insurance company to make sure that we were okay?
Actually, I've mentioned it to the insurance company of our intent
Mhm.
to do that, and I've also talked with Mr. Jetta
Mhm.
about his ability to do that,
Mhm.
to create, in essence, an old-fashioned rink on the blacktop.
Mhm.
And he said it's doable, so.
Okay.
But if you'll remind me, I'll follow up.
Sure.
I'll talk to either, again, the Honeyla agency or with the adjuster to make sure that it's okay from an insurance standpoint for us to put an old-fashioned rink down there.
Okay. The other question I had, because you mentioned fixing the road to the sand pit. Maybe this is more directed to Ron. What, we had talked about the possibility of you guys burning, the leaves and stuff there this past spring, and that didn't happen. Is that something we can do in the spring if the road gets fixed? Is there something, what's the likeliness? Because I know this is gonna come up in the spring where we need to do something for people to get rid of their brush and that.
Right. We'll have to take and get there on the spring, because right now, the way everything's going, the thing is, you gotta babysit it. That's the biggest problem.
Right,
And you can't have someone on a babysit it continuously. They're gonna be dropping everything under the sun down there,
mhm,
and then we're liable for it.
right,
So we have to take and put on hold right now, and keep it around the spring and see what happens.
yeah, okay. And I mean,
That's the biggest problem we had. If people are courteous enough, they can bring the leaves down there, be fine. But
Right.
they don't. They want everything they got, they drop off.
mhm,
Everything from couches to mattresses,
right,
and it screws everybody up.
right.
And we can't have somebody go to babysit 24 hours a day.
Right,
It's not
no,
gonna happen.
that's not realistic.
No.
Okay, I just wanna put the bug out there, cause it's gonna be here before we know it, and then we're gonna have to figure something out.
I did have a conversation with Don Ebert about that, and we talked about creating a compost pile out there for yard debris only,
Mhm.
grass, leaves at all. That he raised the subject, seemed like a good idea, and said people are really in need of something. A resident here in Dollar Bay, not knowing anything about the first conversation I just mentioned, called and said, I'd be more than willing to pay a tipping fee if I could get rid of my yard debris out at the sand pit. He said, what if you open it up for a month in the fall with someone from, 10 to 2 and charge people to go? He said, I'd gladly pay you a reasonable rate to bring my yard debris out, dump it, and either have it burned or in some type of compost pile. So I think we have some options to explore relative to yard debris for the spring.
Okay. Thanks.
That just popped into my head based on your conversation. I'm glad you had it because it's been rolling around between my ears for the last 2 months. I keep forgetting to bring it up. Thank you. And then lastly, as I mentioned in the past at meetings, we've been posting our ordinances, the water ordinance is up now for community-wide review. And I'm working on some requests that have come in from people interested in our ordinances in and around Osceola Township, either property owners, residents at all. And I've done a number of things. I've conducted a review of past ordinance enforcement. I've gone through receipt books. I've gone through files. I've updated my own personal records. I've worked on ordinance. I just want to share some things very quickly so people understand that we do take their input seriously, their requests seriously. I've gone back to 2016, and just by way of example, we issued formally 10 warnings and 9 violations in that fiscal year. In 17, it was down to 5 warnings and 4 violations. In 18, it was 6 and 5, and then it ceased. And I'm going through an analysis of all of the receipts, all of the records, to try to figure out why. I had a chance conversation with the former supervisor, my predecessor, Steve Kartyak. He and I spoke at length this morning. We're going to get together on Monday morning. I'm preparing a report in response to requests that have come in from some interested citizens, and I want to get that done as expeditiously as possible. But as the further I get into it, there are more questions that are raised for me, and I want to ask Steve about the process, what he did, why the numbers tended to tail off. And I sort of have an answer, but I don't want to jump ahead of myself and come to an erroneous conclusion. In addition, we've been dealing with some very specific blight ordinance issues that have been going on not for weeks, months, but actually for years, or the better part of a decade. And without, of course, naming names or whatever, but just by location, we've had 2 rather significant, if you will, blight ordinance issues in Tamarack City. One is currently in the hands of our legal counsel. The other one deals with property that the original owner and about whom a complaint was raised no longer owns the property. Regrettably, the individual is deceased, and it is now in the hands of the estate. And my understanding is steps are being taken to address the issue. There's also one in Dollar Bay that I'm following up on that has been ongoing for quite a period of time. But anecdotally, I've learned that items in property that is certainly falls, I believe, specifically within the blight ordinance, if not more specifically into the hazardous property or building ordinance, which we're also looking at relative to it, is emptying out some of the property and has intentions to do something with it down the road, but I have not followed up with him in recent times. So work is going on. We're breaking things out by ordinances and how we've proceeded with them. I started about July of 2019, and the first ordinance says I ran into a junk vehicles. Well, maybe people had a little bit too much and junked the vehicle, but excuse me for the slip of the tongue. Junk automobiles. But what happened in follow-up visits or subsequent visits was that they would put license plates on them. They would move them from one part of the property to the other. The number would fluctuate, and I always felt like I was going, reviewing, and starting over. But approaching people from a personal standpoint, we are working on a warning letter, just to insert that. From burn ordinances through garbage to fireworks, to zoning, to parking, knocking on doors, talking with people has brought a response rate that's favorable in the 90 to 95 percentile level. People have stopped burning, people have taken other approaches. This is not universal, not everything's been solved, but garbage has been picked up, garbage has been moved. My favorite is parking. We have an ordinance that's rather interesting. We can park on the sidewalks in Tamarack City and Dollar Bay from November 1st until the month of May, not date specific. During the summer, we really shouldn't be parking on the sidewalk. We posted a reminder notice, post office et al. About that, and the compliance jumped dramatically. The most recent compliance was people new to the community were parking not perpendicular to the road, but angle parking with their vehicles on the sidewalk on the main street of Dollar Bay. I knocked on the door a few times. There was no response. The next time I checked, they were gone. The third time they were there again. I came in, I copied the reminder notice, put it under the windshield, and the vehicles are now in compliance. They probably had no idea that there was an ordinance in effect relative to parking on the sidewalk. However, I placed it on the vehicle, I believe on the 30th of October, and then the requirement expired on the 1st. So they could begin to park on the sidewalk. So my hope is to meet with Steve, go through my drafts, my responses and whatever, and ask him questions as to why certain things happen the way they did, and be in a position to respond both internally and externally with that information very soon. So thank you for bearing with me on ordinances and what have you, but we've got a lot of comments, questions, and issues raised about them, and thought that would be a good opportunity to bring everybody up to date and know that I'm working on them on their behalf. And that's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you. Unfinished business.
Mr. Wareham has joined the meeting,
Oh.
just so that you're aware.
Good evening, Don.
He hung up.
Oh, he's there, I can see him.
He may be in mute.
Yeah, well, he's not muted, but.
Just
Please note his participation if you would. Thank you. Mason Sewer Project update. Jim, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. First question to Krista.
Yes,
Did that check from rural development make its way here?
it did.
Okay.
Yes.
That was the weirdest thing ever.
We were gonna go to Mexico until Mark said
Yeah,
something about a check, and he said the amount, and I said,
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that check. So
Yes.
it's here.
okay.
Yep.
Good. So
We'll get that to you.
deposited into that same account for the
I
project.
did, well, I didn't. I deposited it into our general account,
Okay.
not thinking, and then I left Tracy a note saying, I need a check. So yes, it will make
Okay,
it there, and we'll
and
get the
then-
checks taken
And
care of.
then I'll need copies
Copies
of
of the
those.
checks. Yep.
So I can update the
Yep.
forms. Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah. Brenda Stevenson at Rural Development was just flabbergasted. She said, I have no idea why they sent the check to them. Instead of directly depositing. it.
Yeah,
It
right?
was strange.
Especially for that dollar amount.
Yeah.
Even the girl at the bank was like,
Yeah.
that's a really big amount for that check. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah, well.
Okay, so then the
So
next
me.
thing I have is, as far as action by the board, is the rural development draw request number 4. Which there is a resolution for that. But before I go into that, I'll give you a quick update. And Emmett, I believe, is on. You can add if I mess up here. Right now, it looks like we're not gonna have a startup until the last week of November. There's a delay in a valve delivery, and we're running across that on all projects. There's different equipment that's just hard to get because of this COVID. And so that's gonna not happen. Once they do the startup, then we can give them what's called substantial completion, where then the system gets turned over to the township, and then at that point, people can start connecting. But because it's gonna be the end of November or after that, depending on delivery times and UPCO. UPCO has not committed a date to come and drop the power down to the lift station. So based on those two things, I'm gonna just recommend, because of the time of year, that the 90 days probably gets pushed off until the spring for people to connect. It's just, I mean, we already had some really good weather that came upon us here, a little winter for a while, and it's gonna come back. But as you recall, I think I shared with you, I did a projection of, because you're gonna have an interest payment due.
Mhm.
And as soon as you get that bill, I need it.
Okay.
You need to make sure to send that to me. Don't pay it because it gets paid out of the project.
Okay.
Okay. I'll include it in a request, just like I'm gonna cover here tonight to rural development. You have a capitalized interest as part of your grant program with rural development loan program. And it's to be used until to pay for those payments until you actually start collecting revenue for yourself.
Right.
So you're good for about a year.
We wouldn't have gotten that already, would we?
What's that?
The request for the loan payment?
When do we close? July? It's usually 6 months after we
Okay.
closed.
Because we
So
just got a
probably-
letter from rural development and I didn't really look at it. I
That
just,
wasn't that, was it?
I don't
That
think
was
so.
an
It
automatic.
said something about water. I didn't pay that
Yeah.
close of attention. I think it's
No.
gonna be bigger than that.
Yeah, if you get letters from rural development on this, just if you
Send it
don't
to me.
mind
Yeah.
sending it to me.
Yep,
That way we can all be on the same page. 'Cause
Yeah.
sometimes with this, I'm not getting copies of the letters.
okay,
Sometimes, because Brenda's trying to do everything through email, and then all of a sudden, boom, it switches over to mail, and it's just,
yeah,
it's getting a little hard to track.
Okay.
So with that, I would take that and then request it, and then rural development would basically end up sending it to you, and you write them a check for your interest payment, and then you'll have a principal and interest coming up in actually, your principal is deferred for, so it's only gonna be interest payments. Okay, I just
Okay.
wanted to remind you of that. And then with that, I did that projection that, if the 90 days doesn't start until the spring for everybody, you're okay. Because that money can actually be used for O&M costs as well.
mhm,
So as you get like power bills or whatever for lift stations, there shouldn't be any, because no one's gonna be hooked up.
right,
It can be used for that. Once people start hooking up and you don't have income coming in, then we can take those power bills and send them in as well for payment.
Do we have a minimum power bill, don't we? Even if like we're not using power? Don't we have
Typically
to
there
get
is.
the minimum
Yeah,
charge?
typically
or
there
whatever?
is. So, when we get to that point, we can talk about that, and then we can
Okay.
use that capitalized interest for that. I just wanted to cover that again because we haven't talked about that in a
Right,
while.
yeah.
It's just a good refresher. For
What
us.
about, I don't know if anybody's asked you this, but what about, like salary for Jim? Like,
Yes.
is that covered in that also, or do we have to?
That, yes, it can be.
Okay.
As far as the operation and maintenance.
Yeah,
I'll have to look at what we had in there for that.
Okay.
Because we just take the O&M cost and that, his salary's in there. So
okay,
the answer on the top of my head is yes.
okay. I'm just gonna throw it out there because we
Yep.
keep talking
Yep.
about it and then we keep forgetting to ask you.
Yes, yeah, that should be, until you start collecting money,
Mhm.
which until people hook up,
Right,
that should be able to be reimbursed through this capitalized interest portion of the funding.
okay.
Can I ask a follow-up question? Would there be any possibility of being at least modestly retroactive relative to payments to Jim on our behalf? He's been attending progress meetings, he's been coming to our meetings, he's been at
Down there.
probably a good dozen meetings on behalf of the township relative to the system that he will be managing.
Yeah, as far as him getting up to speed, I don't think that would qualify. I
Okay.
think it's once the system's up and running and he's actually doing the operation and maintenance of it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I
No, I mean, that's
Those,
okay.
but yeah.
Doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. You don't get what you don't ask for.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
You realize that MTech was there today, they're wiring up that panel,
no,
they have power
they
from
do.
the highway down to the pole,
Okay,
and they're wiring that up today.
okay. Emmett's probably aware of that. Emmett, do you have anything to add on the update of the project? Is he out there?
He is. I wonder if something's wrong with my sound. Hold on. I mean, they can hear us, right? Hold on, guys. We can't hear. If you're talking, we can't hear you. Speaker's working. Not working. So I don't know why we can't hear anybody. We heard Horst.
We did.
Okay, well,
Okay,
if he's out there, we can't hear him.
okay. Well, in that case, what you might want to just suggest is if anyone has a question, if they could just type it into the chat box.
Oh,
You can
sure.
Look at it that way. That way you, during public comment, you
Yep.
have that access. It'll just have to be through typed in chat. But anyway, that's later on the agenda. Okay, so any questions on anything else on Mason? Then I'll move on to the resolution, which is a resolution for, it's the fourth draw request. MGO contracting pay application number 3 for $279,178.48. And outstanding invoice for UP Engineers for services rendered through October 28th for $5,154.01 for a total of $284,332.49. So
It would probably make the most sense to address these one at a time as we go through them.
this is one resolution.
One?
Yep.
The only one.
Alright.
Is it the only action item?
No, there'll be a change order.
That's what I remember the conversation
Yep.
being, so
Yep.
when we deal with this right away.
Mhm.
Sure.
With regards to the resolution, do I have a motion to approve the resolution as presented?
Yes, I'll make the motion.
Ms. Gardner, is there support?
I'll support.
Ms. Cool. Is there any discussion on the motion to accept the resolution as presented? Hearing none, roll call vote please on the motion.
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Should I ask Don?
Yeah, just have him raise his hand.
Could Don raise his hand?
Yeah.
Okay. Did he? Don, can you raise your hand?
Don, can you hear us?
He's. No,
I
he
don't.
can't hear us.
No, it
Okay.
doesn't.
Well, we have 3 of us here.
But I know people can hear us, so I don't know
So
what's
weird.
going on.
Mr. Hulkola?
Yes,
Okay.
So ever since Don
Myself,
came in.
yes.
let's wait just a moment for
Okay.
Krista, to see if she can bring Dawn in.
Can other people hear us? Is anybody able to unmute to just say you can hear us?
I hear you guys fine.
Okay.
I
Cindy-
can hear. This is Cindy.
Okay, thanks, Cindy. Okay,
So it's
wait a minute, Don's trying to connect. Don, can you hear us?
it's got a connection.
I don't know. I mean, he's like, his face isn't saying he can hear me, so.
Oh,
Okay, I don't know what to say about
Yeah,
him. He's not.
He's got a connection from,
yeah.
I think I might be able to be heard now.
Yep, I've been able to hear all along.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay,
Motion carries 3 votes in favor. No opposition,
Okay.
no
Okay.
abstention.
Then we have change order number 3, which is Emmett put this together. It's a quantity adjustment, what we call an interim quantity adjustment. It's pretty close to final. Emmett balanced all the quantities of installed materials to the actual installed from what was in the bid. And you can see several things that happened during construction, different adjustments, working with the contractor that really helped the budget on this. This is a decrease of the contract of $55,681.98. So what that means is this project's going to get done under budget, quite a bit under budget. And it's grant money, but, and there's not, the question that always comes to people's mind right away, can we use that grant money for something else? No, you cannot. It will be given, canceled by rural development. It's their money that's left. But it's better than having to go out and look for
More.
$60,000 to $70,000. So
Mhm.
it's going in the right direction. So with that, I don't know, Emmett, there was no other items with this, was there? It was just quantity adjustments, so.
Quantity adjustments and a minor increase for returning manhole number 2, which we eliminated out of the project during the time of construction, but
Right.
we accepted it during submittals. It was, we were able to eliminate 1 manhole. So there's a minor charge for returning that
Right.
That manhole section.
We shall in charge. Okay.
And this is change number
Number 3.
3.
It's a decrease of $55,681.98. It brings MJO's contract amount to $854,258.55.
I'm getting the phone to Krista.
Do I have a motion to approve
Hello?
change order number 3?
All motion.
We'll pause. We have a phone call that came in during the meeting, so we will
Okay.
stay in place and recess until Krista returns.
Having a nickel. He said, he can't hear you guys and you can't hear him, so. Something's screwed up. Well, anyway,
We're in recess until Krista returns.
they got the power on the highway. There's a kettle on that one. And then on the handyman, there's a kettle on that one. Is that to step it up to 440 maybe?
I'm not sure.
That's what I couldn't understand. There's a kettle on the highway and there's a kettle here.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm kind of thinking that's what it's
Yeah,
for.
it must be.
The phone number or the meeting ID? Okay. Do you want me to forward the email to your text? Can you read your text email from your phone? Right. Well, let me forward it to you. I'll hang up with you. I'll forward it to you and then try calling in instead and type in the meeting ID. That might be better.
I'm on speakerphone.
Yeah.
Why don't we just put them on the speaker?
Okay, I'm
Almost
forwarding
done.
you right now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mine
bye.
wasn't, I'll lose it.
Krista, why don't we just throw them on my speakerphone? We're almost done. We
Oh,
can do that.
Well, I just hung up with him. I'm just gonna forward him the email so he can call. Oh my.
So if you show up at the meeting, we have this problem.
Is he home?
I hope we do that.
He's not home. I don't think he's in
No.
Wausau or wherever.
Oh, that were you? Oh.
Sorry, he said he could hear us, but every time he tried to talk, it wasn't. Okay,
Are you ready to go again?
I am, I'm sorry. Did
I
we,
motioned.
you met, okay. And
We'll start over.
Bring the meeting back to
Okay.
order. We have a motion on the floor to approve change order number 3. Is there support for the motion?
Yes, I'll support.
Support for the motion. Any further discussion or questions on the motion?
He's not on yet, so.
And we'll have a roll call vote, please, on change order number 3.
Yes,
Don can't hear.
he's not on yet.
Okay. Mr. Hopewell?
Yes,
Yes.
we have a successful motion. Motion carries 3 in favor, none opposed, no abstentions.
The one
Next
oth-
item.
One other item is the lawnmower bids that were received as part of the project. There were bids received. I don't know if you had a chance to look through those. Zero turn mower was sent in a couple, this was for Abe's, sent in a couple, Ward's sent in a couple, and Northern Lawn and Equipment had a couple different options. Abe's did not supply trailers, which was something that was requested. So Ward's and Northern Lawn Equipment did supply cost for a trailer as well, because we got that approved from rural development to do that. So it's really going to be up to you to decide which mower you want to go with. And the budget is $10,000. And you have, of the mowers, there's 3 of them with trailers that are under 10,000. This is something you don't have to make a decision on tonight. We have time because the grass stopped growing about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So, and the project's going to stay open because of the capitalized interest. Even after MJO is gone, this project's going to stay open, so you can make payments from the
There
capitalized
ain't
interest.
grass up here yet anyway.
No, right, exactly.
Is Jim the one who's gonna be, is he gonna be cutting the grass or?
I'm not sure.
In all likelihood,
Okay,
at this moment, if I may, in talking with Andy, we
Mhm.
moved the date for delivery back to the 30th of April, I
Okay.
believe.
Okay.
And the intent was to have this material available this evening, and to follow up on Jim's comment and suggestion is it will give the board ample time to review it, putting us, I think, by our December meeting, which I believe is on the 9th of December. Opportunity
Yes.
then to make a decision as to how to proceed. It will give the retailer plenty of time to secure the equipment if they don't have it in hand. And the hope was that should they get a winter arrival of the equipment, it will be stored at their site rather than our site until spring delivery in 2021. So material is here. It in total, I think it comes to 20 some pages.
22, yeah.
Yeah,
It was quite
light reading,
a bit of information. But
there is indeed.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim, for highlighting things and emphasizing the latitude and time we have to get this done.
Do you want that officially tabled or?
Well, I don't know that it's an information item at this moment, an action item on our agenda in December.
just
After board
communication,
review.
yeah, I wouldn't table it.
Okay.
Distributed this evening with additional information provided by Jim. Next item, sir.
I think the next time you had on your agenda, and it was in the email that I sent over, it looks like you may want to have a special meeting to discuss
correct.
that instead of tonight, which is fine.
You know, we're limited, as you can see, with board members present.
Right, yeah, so, yeah, needs to be done sooner than later because it's a fast deadline. I'll just give you a quick update. Eagle came out with this grant, and they're calling it the Drinking Water Asset Management Grant. And Eagle currently has requirements in place for type 1 and type 2 water supply and distribution systems that asset management planning is going to continue to be required, as well as a general plan. There's a rule, it's Rule 316, that goes through a bunch of stuff that you need to have done on your systems. Yours is small enough, you probably haven't gotten that request yet. You probably did last year have to submit the inventory for your service laterals. This grant will actually continue on that because you submitted what was called a preliminary inventory of looking for copper or lead, as they call it, the lead copper, or looking to see what services are lead. And then from last year, that submittal, you had 5 years to actually identify accurately what services may have lead on them. And then after that, you have to replace, I think it's an odd number, it's like 7% a year after that of those services that you identified. This grant will cover going out and potholing and looking at services coming up, the time to take to find those services or to identify them and by digging them up or so, and it's 100% grant, okay? It's nothing to sneeze at, and that's, we've been following it. I sent that invite to Mark, and he attended the webinar that they had on this. And they're doing it in 4 different cycles every quarter. Because you have not done anything on asset management plan, I'm recommending you have to get this in the first quarter, or you probably won't get funded.
Very tight deadline.
There's points, and you get points if you've got your asset management plan already started. The asset management plan identifies everything in your system, all the pipes, material size, age, replacement cost, and you do a hydraulic model for a 5-year and a 20-year growth, which yours isn't going to be a whole lot, but and determine what areas are deficient, and then you come up with a capital improvement plan for a 20-year capital improvement plan. So it gives you a tool to use, and it includes your well, any component of the water system is all identified. And we've actually developed a menu-driven software program because we've done many of these for communities. So this is a great opportunity for you to get all this into one database to help you plan for future for the township, as well as the copper lead rule requirements that you already are imposed on. So it's due January 1st.
Supposedly it gives 20 years and 20.
There's some, it's like you gotta do 7% a year type of a thing, depending on how many you have, whatever. But so it's due, the application for the first quarter is due the end of the year. It doesn't look like it's a very long application. But you have to have a lot of backup on where your costs came from. Like if you're gonna pot, there's forced account. If you got your own backhoe, we might be able to rent that to the project type of thing and get paid for it. Your time doing it, you get paid for it. As far as a forced account, pay up to your salary plus 40% for benefits, that kind of stuff.
They recommended before that anytime you work on a project, they don't want you, when you're compacting the ground back up, they don't want you disturbing like 2 neighbors, one side or the other, or the guy across the street. Usually they're only about 3 feet apart,
Right.
Yeah. And they don't want you to disturb it, I say, because it stirs up the lead in the galvanized pipe. Well, if you're going to dig them up, you're going to be disturbing
Unless
them.
if you already know where they are, then you don't have to dig them.
Yeah,
But if you don't know where all of them are, then there's ways, we're working up a protocol as far as looking inside the homes first, looking at what year all these pipes were put in, and there's cutoff years as far as when that lead stuff was stopped being used. And so we can eliminate some of that. Your system's pretty close to the same age here in Dollar Bay, I think. And then we got the new run out to Tamarack City, but and that one shouldn't be a problem
There's
at all. There won't be any on
There's
it.
nothing
And
there.
we know that, so we wouldn't spend any time on that. We'd do an asset management on it though, identifying everything you have out there, map it out. With
He finally backed off on that testing in Tamarack because he told him there isn't any
Yeah.
lead service lines in
Right.
there.
Okay,
Yeah,
year
you
was
do
put
it.
in.
I don't know, every 6 months or something.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, they backed off finally.
Yeah. So that's what that program's about. I did send you, if you want to move forward, I just wanted to kind of speed things up so we got time to get it done. If you decide to move forward, I emailed this afternoon that an agreement. For us, we would do it on a time and material basis. It would be, you know, as you saw there in the email too, we wouldn't exceed 5,000.
Yeah.
And that was just, and I can't see us spending that much on your system to come up for the application. But
I was looking at a date, Jim, for a special meeting
Yep.
just on this topic.
Yeah.
We talked briefly prior to our meeting
Okay.
meeting about available dates because we do have board members that are currently out of town, but home on the weekend or not available this evening for tonight's meeting. We want to check with them about their availability for a special meeting. We looked at Saturday, the 7th at 12:30 for a meeting. Would that work for you to be present to, or representative of your firm to join us to go through what we have to do?
that's this Saturday.
That's the suggested date, at least amongst the three of us. We need to confirm that with both Mr. Janke and Mr. Warren.
I'm not available on that day.
Would it be too late to do it the following week,
No.
some evening? or
No,
what?
no, you're fine. As long, I think in the next week and a half, if we can sit down and if you decide to move, then because we're gonna have to sit down with Bob
Okay.
and yourself and kind of plan this thing out, what do we want to go after as far as what's eligible in the grant and decide what fits you the best. And then we have to develop costs of how to put into this grant, what we're requesting, if we're gonna identify the service lateral materials. We'll come up with an approach on how we're gonna do that and who's gonna do it. I have a spreadsheet already created from other projects that have the forced account, has all the tasks involved. Forced account, which would be your time or whoever else's time with the township, and then UPN's engineer's time, and if we have to rent equipment, that type of stuff. You can also buy equipment with this, so we need to talk about that kind of stuff as far as different water equipment that could be used as part of this process.
Backhoe.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably have to, the way it's written is if you bought a piece of equipment like that, they'd probably pay 25% of the cost of it because they realize that you're probably going to use it all over the township for other things. If you show that it is a shared piece of equipment with an adjoining township or municipality, then, and you can show them that, then they would pay 50% of it. So there would be local cost in that case. That's the only thing there is a local cost to is equipment.
So if we partnered with an adjoining community or township, they would pay half the cost and they would fall to the two partners to
Yep.
come up with 25% per.
No, right, exactly, yes. Because you'd be paying 50%.
Yeah.
And each would, so would split the 25, yes.
Hmm.
The possibility, so,
Something worth exploring.
Yeah.
Right now, the date is an issue because we do
Yeah.
have one board member who's out of town during the week for a couple more weeks. We're looking at weekends to
Mhm.
involve him if at all possible. Would the 14th be too late?
that's deer, start of deer season. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's why I
I'm on that
suggested the
camp on that
7th.
day, I'm not going.
Yeah.
that's right.
Well,
Can
can
we,
we,
let me ask this, is it Don that?
Yeah.
Can we do it remotely with him?
I would imagine.
I think
Yeah,
So we
I
can
think
do
so,
it.
yeah.
We can do it, during the week or whatever, evening or
Yeah.
day, I'm.
Would you guys be able to set up a Zoom for us to?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Emmett, you'd be able to set that up, right?
Yeah, no problem.
So shall we pick a day right now? Because Mr. Wareham is on the phone. Can you hear us?
Yeah, Don, can you hear us now? You're on mute, by the way, if you can unmute.
Tuesday, the 10th.
That's the day I have open right now. Yes.
How about Tuesday, the 10th? 6 PM?
Are we looking at evening? Yeah.
Evening?
6? Yeah, I can do that, Tracy.
I'm gonna put it in right now. 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock here.
Yeah, he's muted, so I don't know. Well, if he can call in though, or
Yeah.
Zoom in,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that'll give me time to talk, like, try to figure out why he can't
Yeah, absolutely.
talk.
Hmm.
Okay,
So we'll schedule the special meeting for 6 PM, Tuesday, the 10th of November, here at the township office. Is that acceptable to everyone?
yes,
I'm typing it in my calendar as we speak.
I'll send an email.
Good. And
That
Emmett,
will give us ample time to get everything set up for community participation as well.
so Emmett, can you set that up tomorrow and get it out?
Yep.
Thank you.
I'll set it up and email it all the information right on over.
Perfect, thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks, Emma.
Okay, that's all I have.
Just for clarification, the cost to get this set up, what you provided for us is not
Is
grant
It's
reimbursable,
not
correct?
reimbursable.
Okay.
That is correct.
And, you're talking about like drilling and stuff, but you can start the work for the asset management now, right? It's not like it's a summer project or, I mean,
Right. Well,
you're able to
you
get.
gotta wait for the money to come through before we'd ever start anything. This is
Okay.
just to do the application, to
Okay.
get in line and hopefully
Okay,
you'll
okay.
get the money. And they're supposed to notify you within, I think, 3 months.
Yeah, okay.
And then once that, the asset management can start, there is a lot of field work with it, but
Mhm.
we look at old plans and that kind of stuff too, to
Okay,
compile everything.
okay,
And we pull a lot of stuff out of his head.
Yeah, okay. So bottom line is we probably want to make sure the 2 water budgets are a little bit, ready for Tuesday so that we have accurate information to look at,
We need to look very seriously at where the money's gonna come from.
right?
And
I can do some work on the.
based on Jim's conversation, we're talking about an agreement that would be up to but not exceed
Correct.
$5,000.
Yeah.
So that's a ceiling rather than a basement.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
And I think that's on the high end, so.
Anything else you want to add on that, Jim? Any questions of Jim? Anything else from you this evening?
Nope.
Thank you very much.
You wanna do signatures after the meeting?
Uh,
See what sign here's already.
we can.
I'll wait for him while I'm
All
here.
right.
We're almost done.
Yeah, I know, I saw.
Moving on.
Yep.
The Travis Engineering reports, again, just to restate what was said earlier, the successful conference call, FEMA project carry forward revenue, there's some timelines we have to seek extensions on, if I recall correctly, but that will be taken care of by Travis Engineering. Work will pick up again in the spring. There will be a single bid offer, if you will. Criteria should be available after the first of the year, calendar year, the January 1, 2021. And that's all I have relative to the report from Travis Engineering. New business, special meeting. We've already agreed at the time and date for that special meeting relative to planning grant opportunity, working with UP Engineering. architect. Before calling for motion to adjourn, is there anything else that anyone on the board has or would like to bring to the board's attention at this time?
Just for your information, that box culvert Tamarack is about complete.
Oh, okay, the one on M26?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Bob. We else have anything? Those of you participating in person or via Zoom, we will provide an opportunity now for public comment again. There's anybody that would like to add input to the meeting or provide comment on any of the issues discussed or raise a question, the floor is yours for up to 3 minutes. Hearing none, thank you for participating in our meeting this evening. Please note the time called for public comment. A motion to adjourn is in order.
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Ms. Gardner, support.
No support.
All in favor of motion to adjourn, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, we stand adjourned.
Thank
Oh.
you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Jim.
Jim.